Hi, my name is Pat, and you're listening to the I Used to Think podcast, a podcast about the stories of people who are brave enough to change their mind. In today's episode, we speak with Guy. Now, Guy assumed there would be a day where he finally felt complete as a person. As a child, he looked at the adults around him, and he saw them as lighthouses, able to guide and direct those around them, stable, sturdy, and dependable. As Guy grew older, he realized that life wasn't really a journey of reaching that one moment of completion, but rather life is a journey of multiple moments of completion. In this episode, I have a conversation with Guy about the concepts of growth, maturity, and the journey towards completion, or should I say the journey towards realizing completion is an illusion. We explore metaphors like lighthouses and skyscrapers to illustrate the differences between internal transformation and external appearances. We talk about our childhood perceptions of adulthood and evolving understandings of what it means to be complete. Guy shares the importance of recognizing life milestones as a moment of completion. One good example is him becoming a parent for the first time. His life turned 180 when he held his firstborn in his arms. We end the conversation talking about the importance of mentors and the invaluable role they play in our lives as we work to become a lighthouse for others around us, and how it's important to let others guide us based on their experiences or mistakes. Thanks for tuning into the podcast if this is your first time listening, and I hope you enjoy this conversation. I'm sure after this you'll get more requests to be on podcasts.
If there's one thing I can honestly say I never expected, it was to say to someone, thank you for having me on your show.
Well, don't forget at the end of this then to say thank you for having me on your show. Then you can check that off your bucket list.
That's fantastic. That's great. That is great.
I'll just say, I think one of the reasons I thought of you is because we've had so many great conversations already.
Well, I appreciate that. And I've enjoyed our conversations too. I mean, it's rare. It has been rare in my life that I can, because we meet three, four times a year.
Yeah.
It's not,
yeah, about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like a text, and then we're at coffee, and it's not that we pick up where we left off. It's like we're in a stream, and we both get out on opposite sides of the river and kind of walk a distance, and we get back in the stream, like on these inner tubes, and we flow down the stream together for a little while. I mean, is that an accurate description?
Do you paint at all? Because if you want to gift me with anything, gift me an image of that.
Okay.
Of you and me climbing on inner tubes on a river.
If I had a comic book style, I would totally, map the, just do the grid and put everything in.
I usually start with an icebreaker.
Okay. All right.
And I won't spoil your I used to think statement, but since we're talking about growth.
Yeah.
So my question is, if you had to answer, would you rather be taller than you are now or shorter than you are now, and why?
Oh, goodness. This might get to be the silent show. I really have to think about this.
No, you're good.
It should be really a simple answer. But here's I'll tell you where my thinking goes.
Okay.
So my thinking goes this way. If I'm taller, and I'm thinking I'm not losing any weight here, right? It's just a matter of length changing.
Okay.
Right?
Sure, yeah.
So if I'm taller, I actually fit into narrower pants, which is always, thinner, smaller pants, right?
Okay.
I go from a 36 to a 34 or 32, which is super attractive to me. However, that would make conditions on my heart harder, which might not be good in the long run. So then if I go shorter, then the pants get bigger, right? Okay. I don't have a problem with the length of the pants, but then I'm also a lot more dense. Everything's compacted. I think I'm going to go taller. I think taller. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll.
So your reason for being taller is to take care of your heart. Or no, wait.
No,
other way around.
It would be the other way around. Like if I got denser, my thinking, and this may be completely wrong because I'm not anyway medical.
Yeah, this is not medical.
Not medical. But don't take this, please. But everything would be more dense, right, and compact, and so it might be harder on my heart anyway. I don't really know. But I just always have tried to avoid, being denser.
Okay.
I think being a little taller would be cool.
Okay.
No, but I'm not talking like a foot taller. I'm like 1, 2, 3 inches maybe.
Okay.
That might be impressive.
I did not expect that answer at all, because I kind of expected, I'd be able to reach the top shelf. I'd be able to dunk basketball. Because right now, are you 6 foot now?
I'm 6 foot now.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's no other utilitarian reason why you would want to be shorter or taller.
No, maybe a little shorter. I would, fit better in chairs and be able to reach. It's more a torso issue.
Okay.
So Kim, my wife, and I do stretching and Pilates, yoga in the morning, and some of the Pilates stuff I just can't do because of my proportions, right?
Never thought of that.
Torso is too long, I think, to do some of these easily. So there's a whole system of body mechanics I just like, nah. But if I was taller, it'd just be cool. And the pants would be narrower. I'd have to get, 32, 46 pants or something to wear. It'd just be a real experience.
Would Kim be happier at all if you were taller, you think? Or she doesn't care?
I don't think she would care. I don't know if she'd be happier. I think it might be like harder to hold hands.
Okay.
There might be some other consequences.
Some adjustments,
but I don't know, it's an interesting question.
I know for me, if I'm wearing, say, dress shoes that add an inch of height or sneakers or something.
Yeah.
And I go to give Jess, my wife, a hug.
Yeah.
She goes, "Oh, you're taller."
Yeah.
There's like something about it that like all of a sudden she's more attracted to me.
Can I get another hug?
Yeah.
Sure.
Like, you want me to wear shoes all day around the house?
You have your indoor shoes and your outdoor shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And when Kim wears any kind of heel, she's a little bit taller. Mm-hmm. And I notice the physical difference, right? As far as position, the positional difference is the best way to say it. But yeah, I think it would be interesting to be taller in certain circumstances.
Okay.
Or better to be taller in certain circumstances. For example, we were talking earlier, my daughter and I went to China, and we went to Xi'an and we saw, the Terracotta Army.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Just a fascinating exhibit. But in part of the museum, there was a space where they had two wagons, like terracotta wagons with soldiers and people driving them. And they were in these cases, which I think, if I'm remembering correctly, must have been maybe 8 foot square and 7 or 8 feet tall.
Okay.
Right? But the space, gosh, what was the space like? It was a relatively small space. It felt like an NPR at an elementary school. And they had these two things in here. And then, I kid you not, probably 1 million people. And I'm 6 foot, so I had a semi-obstructed view of what was there. But if I was 6'8", I could have just, stood in one place and saw everything. So in certain circumstances, I think being significantly taller would be cool.
I'll bring this up. That's since we're on this topic. Mm-hmm. And we were even talking to continue, I guess, this trend about visiting Asia. Mm-hmm. I'm 5'8" on a good day. Probably when I just wake up in the morning. You know how you're slightly taller in the morning? And in the United States, I think the average male height is 5'10" or somewhere around there. Mm-hmm. So I feel a little shorter than the average. Yeah. When I walk around every day, I feel it. And when I go to Asia, gosh, it's such an ego boost. Because I'm Asian, I'm full Asian, but I'm usually like 1 or 2 inches taller than just everyone around me.
Wow. Yeah.
When I go to the mall and I'm on an escalator, or when I'm in a room full of people, and it's interesting how things like height, of course, it's relative.
Yes.
As far as, and it doesn't assign any value to you as a person, mm-hmm. but it really just changes, I guess I should say, for me, my perception of reality in a way. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Of, I'm not short objectively. This is my height. And depending on the environment and the surroundings, I could feel a certain way. Yeah. Because of my height.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a weird feeling.
It is. It is. I found it weird to note that when Kim and I are out, like walking around, or sightseeing, or in a place where there's something beautiful that we want to look at. Because our heights are different, we see things at different angles, and because we're positioned next to each other, so now we have these kind of overlapping cones of vision, and I may see a portion of something she doesn't. So she has to change positions to see it. And so there's an awareness for me, like with my wife, my spouse, okay, I would like her to see this thing, but I have to allow her to position herself to see it, or be aware that she doesn't have, I'll use the word perspective, though in a sense it's loaded because we can attach all kind of meaning to that. But just to be aware of, she needs to change positions. I think this is really cool. Can you see it? You can't hear it. Let me get out of the way.
Right.
You know, and that's on a really good day, you know, when I'm not just totally engrossed with what I'm doing. But yeah, it's different. That's interesting.
Well, thank you for entertaining that question.
Yeah.
That was a good answer.
Well, thanks for asking.
I don't grade the answers, but that's like between an A to an A+.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my.
But I don't grade
goodness.
the answers.
If anyone's grading out there, I don't know if I want to know. I'm trying really hard not to attach anything to grades right now, just because that would drive me bananas. Just enjoy the process. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you for processing.
Of course.
Yes, it's good. It's good.
I'm excited to hear your topic for today. What is your I used to think statement?
I used to think that at some point in my life I would be like finished, mature, complete, grown, if you will. And now I look back and realize that was just kind of an illusion. There is an illusion I created around being done, if you will, in growth in life. So I think that's my I used to think topic.
Okay.
And Starling, as a side note, I was reading something for class and the same question came up, but I think it was more like related to God and the Trinity. It's like you used to think this and now we want to move you to thinking this, which, it's really, God's doing something here. Hey, let's examine what you used to think. So.
For context, Guy is in a spiritual direction. What would you call it?
I'm
a seminary? Or?
Yeah, I'm in a seminary.
Okay.
I'm in a Master of Divinity student. My emphasis is spiritual formation.
Oh, spiritual formation.
Yeah,
okay.
Spiritual formation. Spiritual direction is a vocation that may come out of that.
Okay.
Yeah, spiritual formation.
So I'm trying to think where to start with this statement. I really like it. As a kid then, what were some of your expectations, right? Whether it could be anything, financial, where you'd live, what you'd look like. What were some of the expectations you had of grown Guy?
Oh, gosh. Yeah, it's a great question. Some of the expectations I had were modeled on, the people I looked up to, the people who are present in my life and who I saw from a kid's perspective as being primarily like in control and in a sense prepared to face life's challenges and what came and just who is modeled for me this great stability. So people like my mom and dad, my grandparents in particular, my teachers, they all seemed to, from the outside, to have this really stable quality about them. They weren't going anywhere. They were kind of earthy people, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Like rooted and grounded.
Okay.
In who they were and the life we had here. So I looked at them, and I think what I took away from that was there would come a point in my life where I, in a sense, achieved is the wrong word, became the same.
Okay.
Very, very stable and rooted and somehow able to weather all life storms. And there was an autonomy to it, an individuality to it, an individualism to it. But to do that, to be just that solid rock type of a person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you say that perception of those adults as being, you use the phrase not going somewhere. Mm-hmm. Do you think you were accurate in your assessment, or it was just the parts of those people that stood out to you? What do you mean by not going anywhere?
Yeah, I think it was. I don't think I was accurate in my assessment. I know, looking back, and even looking through the filter of my own life, I wasn't accurate in my assessment. And what I mean by not going anywhere, so an image that will occasionally arise for me in my mind is that of a lighthouse. When I'm out on a peninsula in a storm. It's something that's built in a precarious place, but built to weather the weather, what comes at it, the uncontrollable nature of the sea, and give guidance and direction to ships coming into harbor, to provide safety or safe guidance, right? And I think that's what I mean by not going anywhere. These people had that quality to them where they'd been through some stuff, and yet they could stand up in the morning and provide guidance or provide some sense of safety, security, things like that. And again, I thought I'd come to that place. I would just become that. And then I have to say, I think in some ways I have. But what I'm coming to experience is that inside the lighthouse, or inside that column, that outer shell, there's a lot of change and transformation going on, right? It's not solid all the way through. So, yeah, and thanks. I'm just kind of processing this through as we talk, because it's like, yeah, there are these elements I bring to it. But yeah, by not moving, not going anywhere, just standing on the peninsula while the storm rages around you, and somehow still being able to spin that light at the top and offer guidance and direction. Those are some of the qualities that come to mind. Yeah.
Were you the oldest of siblings, the only child?
The oldest of three.
Okay.
Oldest of three.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you say provide direction, provide stability, who are you thinking of?
Oh, goodness. Well, I'll start, kind of at the epicenter, at me. I mean, I'm thinking of me, and they did provide stability and guidance and boundaries and all those things for me, for my siblings. They also provided, of course, for our family, and then for people in our neighborhood, friends. Community was different growing up, at least my experience.
Okay.
And for context, we're sitting in your house, and I said I literally grew up across the freeway from where we're at now, which is cool to drive. I'll probably drive through the neighborhood when I leave, just to like, hey, look. And it was a suburban life. I mean, we're talking 1970s suburban Orange County, very suburban, very homogenous in many ways. But I remember there was a community in our neighborhood. I hung out with kids from all up and down the block. They'd come to my house after school and do homework. My mom fed everybody snack. She knew all the other moms around the neighborhood. And it was that time, that kind of Stranger Things time, where my mom could pick up the phone that was attached to the wall with a 20-foot cord and call another mom down the block and say, hey, the kids have to come home. And we'd be home in 5 minutes. It was such a different time. Right. But within that, if someone needed something, the stable people, the people who aren't going anywhere, the people who have weathered things, the lighthouses, would signal each other, and you'd kind of get what you needed. And that's some of the remembered sensual, if you will, context that I have in my mind, in my heart, about that time.
Yeah.
And I hope that answers the question. It's just, and larger parts of the community too. Volunteer work with schools, even things at work. Someone needed something at work. It was when you had that stability that you could provide or guide or illuminate something. Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to ask for an example, and I think that's a good one, where you saw your mom be this example of someone who was a resource and a willing resource, and sort of like doors open and people are welcome kind of environment.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just thinking through your statement. You said that you thought, I guess, this maturing process would just sort of happen automatically, or is it more of you thought this maturing process would be complete at a certain point?
Yeah, it's more complete at a certain point.
Okay.
Like at some point there wouldn't be, in a sense, and again, this is, it's kind of weird to think about, but that at some point, who I am would kind of solidify into one of those lighthouses.
Okay.
Right? And I think the illusion was that the lighthouse was solid.
Okay.
All the way through. That it's a lighthouse. It's a kid's view.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about perspective earlier.
Right.
Well, from the perspective of kid me, what I used to think was that there would come a moment, and by moment I mean a moment, like Lewis, we were talking about Lewis surprised by joy, right? In that he talks about those moments of joy. He can't describe them as anything but joy, you know? I can relate to that. When I read that, I'm like, I know that those days. I remember those days.
Yeah.
Moments of great joy when the sky was blue. And I'm in my room doing something crazy. I was actually drafting. I had an assignment to do. I'm drawing. And I look out, and the sky's crystal blue. And there's just this moment of like, I don't even know what to describe it. A gift. But in a sense, internally too, a moment where everything just kind of settles and there's a stillness to it. And I think from the kid's point of view, you know, you look at the lighthouse, it's very impressive and it's very sturdy and just, it can weather anything, not realizing that it's hollow, that there's stuff going on inside of it.
At what point did you begin to feel the tension? So the illusion is beginning to, or it's beginning to become apparent that it is an illusion. Mm-hmm. Where were you in your life? Can you think of a certain event, situation?
Yeah, well, I'm going to start by saying that you know, I'm not always the sharpest knife in the drawer, and I am as aware as I may seem. Sometimes I'm not aware of myself at all, and I think I saw that illusion very early on, but I rejected it and lived in the illusion. Or I rejected the reality of the illusion. I instead decided to kind of curl up with it and say, you know, oh yeah, okay, at some point this is how it's going to be. I think the thing that immediately comes to mind is going to college. Mm-hmm. I started college as an architecture major, and it was a twofold reality check. I'm going to say reality. It was a transition. One, I came to realize I really didn't want to be an architect. Just, oh my gosh.
I don't think this has ever come up. I had no idea.
Yeah. I took 4 years of drafting in high school.
Okay.
Loved every minute of it. Hated computers at the time. My drafting teacher had this old Mac. I guess it was the 2E, whatever the first Macintosh was.
Okay.
And it had some really drawing software, and he wanted me so badly to get on there and like do stuff. I'm like, no, give me a pencil. I want a 2H pencil, and I'm going to go over with H and use some F, and I'm going to do all my lines, and I want to do an orthographic projection. Can I please do that just with my hands? Because I like to work with my hands.
Yeah.
But I went to Cal Poly Pomona for architecture, started there. What I wasn't prepared for was that is a conceptual program.
Okay.
They're looking at design. It wasn't a drafting program. It was an architecture program. And I wasn't prepared for it. And so they're speaking a whole different vocabulary, and I was a good student in high school, but I wasn't like a great student. So it was a big transition there, you know, just in getting into what it means to be an architect, because there was this whole level of commitment to it. I remember distinctly, there was a guy who was up for 3 days straight, like 3 24-hour periods, building a wooden model of a house he designed for critique. And I remember him watching him collapsing in exhaustion on one of the benches, you know, in the architecture building. And that was a moment I realized this is not what I want to do with the rest of my life. Okay. This is just not. So I was working as a draftsman locally, enjoyed the process of that, and I could put on paper what I was seeing in my head. Mm-hmm. Right? I began to understand something about construction, which was great. So that was part of it, where I began to realize, you know, that these things I thought were going to happen may not. The path had been pretty straight until then. Okay, you're going to be a lighthouse. cool. That's going to be great. I love being a lighthouse. This is how I'm going to be a lighthouse. And wait a minute, I don't want to be a lighthouse this way. And then at the same time, while I was taking our drafting classes, I was in a liberal studies program at the same school. I began reading all these different stories and books, and had philosophy professors for the first time, and history professors paired with music teachers who were just talking this whole different language. And it really kind of threw me into a tailspin, because it forced me to question. I say forced. It invited me to question much of the stability I grew up with. And I accepted the invitation, is what happened. I doubted things, and I was like, wait a minute. We all don't have to be lighthouses. There are other things to be. And so I see that moment actually was a period of about 1.5 years of transition, of coming to this place of, yeah, these people are all really solid, but there are other things to be. And I began to realize that was an illusion as I recognized. I didn't recognize myself changing. I just thought it was like, was in it. I was on the slip and slide. Let's go. Let's roll. And self-awareness is not one of my strengths, especially at that time. What's going on? I don't know. Let's just have some fun.
At that time, as you were learning more about the alternatives, I guess, the other archetypes, what were some of the ones that you encountered? I guess you can continue with your building analogy, or whatever works.
I began to see that, well, I don't think I began to see anything. I think I just really stepped away from any, looking back so hard at that time. In part, it's hard to look back because I think of really the person I became at that time. Like, I don't want to look at that guy, because that guy was, from my perspective now, like, what on earth were you doing? Are you crazy? Yeah, I think some of the other, what I thought I saw like skyscrapers, and I thought I saw like shiny glass, like things made of glass that were shiny and attractive and beautiful, but like their purpose was obscure. They didn't have purpose, or at least not a purpose that was similar to the lighthouse. So they occupied this kind of strange, they didn't occupy, they had a strange quality of freedom and movement to them. Yeah, like you didn't have to stay in one place. You didn't have to be rooted down. They guided and directed in different ways. They were more beacons or obelisks that denoted something important. Yeah. It's really a weird time. Gosh, it's a weird time, Pat. It is. Like, I look back now, it's like, and thank God I can look back and go, wow, it's a weird time. Yeah, so again, I began to just feel that change, like an attraction to things that weren't as grounded, weren't as stable and solid, that had less permanence to them. And, I idolized that for a period of time in my life, and I followed those things for a period of time. Yeah, I did.
Do you think most people around you from high school going to college would have attributed these lighthouse-like qualities to you?
Well, that's a great question. I think out of high school, yes. I think in high school, yes. In college, and especially after leaving the architecture program and starting some of my other wacky adventures, probably not. Yeah, I think it changed. I can also say in some areas, territories of my life, I was more lighthousey than in others.
Okay.
So like in the work territory, I was a little more lighthousey. Work was important because I had to make money, and so you want to show up on time and do things.
Right.
Now sometimes honestly, the light went out. There were times at work, it's like, oh, yeah, you're a knucklehead. Yes, I am. But in other areas, especially personally, relationship areas, like I tore down lighthouses. Like I'd build them and tear them down. And I don't think I was very stable. I wasn't very stable pretty stable in friendships, but not in like relationships and things like that. I was like a building that collapsed.
Not even a porta potty?
No. Well, yeah. Well, I was more an outhouse. I don't think the porta potty would be like a deluxe. There were just things that, yeah.
You used the phrase wacky adventures. I can't let that slide. I mean, what is that? What's there?
Probably not as wacky as some other people have, but just, and it wasn't even wacky. Some of it was just downright embarrassing, but partying and drinking and never anything harder, but just getting into, so the wacky adventures, me and my friends driving around in the hills of Orange County, and I hope there are no police listening to this. It was a long time ago, statute of limitations, I guess, but we'd take, for example, we would get cones and block off streets and just going out with your buddies and racing down Beach Boulevard. And I mean, it's just crazy stuff. Driving the hills. Actually turned out once the wrong way on Beach Boulevard.
Okay. Like
heading into traffic in a 1966 Oldsmobile 98.
How did that turn out?
Well, luckily there was a driveway. Because there's a median, or there was at the time, down the middle of the beach where we turned out. And what do we do? And you got three guys in the back yelling, we're going to die. Oh, goodness. Almost getting run off the road by a semi-truck because a friend was leaning out my window. Like, it's just a 70s, 80s moment, but we're driving down Catella. And I'll tell you, it's okay if I tell the story?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's kind of a hoot. We're driving down Catella, two cars parallel. And I'm driving one car and a buddy of mine is driving another, and we're kind of yelling at each other. And one of our friends sticks his head out of the window, like he's kind of hanging out the window, and he's yelling at the other car. Well, there's a semi truck in the middle lane. There are 3 lanes on Catella. Okay. Two lanes, 3 lanes. But anyway, we split and we go around the semi truck.
Okay.
Well, the friend of mine hanging out the window doesn't stop yelling. He keeps yelling as we pass the semi truck. Well, the driver of the semi-truck thinks he's yelling at us. We're yelling at him.
Uh-huh.
Well, he's not going to take that. So we turn onto Tustin Avenue, and the semi-truck follows us. And he's coming up fast.
What's his plan here?
I don't know. But the last thing I want to do is get into it with a trucker. So we pull into a driveway. I'm not thinking. I'm just like, let's get away. He follows us.
Okay.
And it's a semi truck. I mean, it's a big rig, and he zooms into this parking lot. Oh my gosh! Luckily, there was another driveway, and we just happened to be small enough in this giant luxury sedan from the '60s to get out the other driveway, and he had to stop. And I'm like, oh my gosh! Yeah, some of that zany stuff. Just a lot of non-lighthouse building fun and adventure, and just crazy stuff. But anyway, yeah. I hope I didn't take us too far off track with.
No, I love it. That's the good stuff. That's what we're trying to get to.
Oh, that's the... Oh. Gosh. Oh. Glad I didn't journal any of this.
I think it's interesting that you said skyscraper. Mm-hmm. I'm picturing, based on what you just said, I'm picturing a walking skyscraper, because you said there is a sense of movement.
Yeah. It's kind of like Howl's Moving Castle or something.
I just saw that.
Did you
last week? Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Really good.
It's really beautiful. Did you see it on the big screen, or did you see it?
I did.
Oh, I heard it was coming out on the big screen. So cool. Such a cool.
It might still be. Oh, I don't know at this point, actually.
Oh, that's a great film.
Yeah, it was good.
To talk about those too. Like, you seen Princess Mononoke?
Yes.
So good. So good.
I just saw those 2 in the last month.
Oh, they're beautiful. Oh, a tear. Yeah, kind of a moving skyscraper. The sense of, let's say it. So skyscrapers are meant to move.
Oh, right.
Right. They're meant to
sway
and flex and there's a quality to that, which is, I think, what I mean. And they're also very sleek, right? So things don't stick to them. Things slide off of them.
Okay.
Now I'm drawing a connection to something else, which is really fascinating. It's really, thank you, God. But like lighthouses aren't that.
Mm-hmm.
Lighthouses are like sturdy, and they're like blocks of stuff. Because if you're going to get slammed by a wave, you build your house on the rock, right?
Right.
Whereas a skyscraper has this kind of twisty, flexy, shiny, slippery quality to it. And I think that's what I mean by they move. I think some point in me, there was an unwillingness to become a solid lighthouse, like solid all the way through. What I perceived as that solid to the core edifice. Yeah, I think the things I built were of glass. They would move, so things wouldn't stick to them. But they were also, in many respects, very fragile, easily broken, easily shattered kind of edifices.
As you think about your time now out of college, as you get into, I guess, young adulthood, I'm assuming at this point there's already a sense of, okay, this is, at this point, is there a sense of, okay, I'm never going to just reach completion? You're like, this is never ending? Like, was there some nihilism there, or it was just like, I'll just figure it out?
Yeah, I think I don't remember being, like, in a sense, hopeless. But I remember reaching young adulthood. I think it was more about.
I'm making you dig deep.
No, you are, which I appreciate, because, I mean, this podcast. Yeah, everybody's like, oh, he's really processing. Yeah, this is like therapy. I'll give you a nickel after the show. Yeah, I think there was a sense of ongoing completion. There wasn't even looking back. If you see the movie Buckaroo Banzai,
No.
It's fun. But there's a line, there's a tag. Wherever you go, there you are. And that was it. It was like, well, wherever I am, I'm here. So it was a kind of this ongoing sense of just being here. Completion. I wasn't hopeless. There were moments of, well, this is kind of terrible, you know, but it wasn't like I didn't have hope. And there wasn't a sense of striving for completion in that time too, a longing to be or find the building I would be. Maybe that's the way to say it.
There wasn't, or was a sense of
there was,
Okay.
because it just in thinking back too. I mean, I was in college for 10 years, and I changed programs, and I was looking for this thing. I was looking for something in that. So there was this desire to be complete, to be done, to be finished, to have this to be formed, maybe, if you will. It was ongoing, but in that process of looking, like wherever I was there, wherever I go, there I am. That was along that way too. So I think there was just a lot happening in that time. And again, not the sharpest knife in the drawer all the time. So kind of go with it and stumble around in the dark. Kids, don't try this at home.
You're going to save someone the experience of being traced by a semi-truck driver.
Yeah.
After this episode.
Yeah, don't do that. If you see a semi-truck, stay in the car. Don't stick your head out and start yelling. Don't do it. And if that semi-truck driver is listening, if you remember that day, we are so sorry. It was not you. Believe me.
You'd be surprised from past episodes, people have actually reconnected.
Really?
From hearing the podcast, yeah.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Yeah. That is one thing about it, just as a sidebar. It's interesting to do a podcast, especially looking back at life and realizing, you know, that there's a lot of water that's passed under the bridge.
Right.
The bridge, right? Yeah. It's interesting how you talk about the past.
Yeah. I say this with all admiration. You have more experience because you're one of the older guests I've had on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I've noticed is my younger guests, a lot of it is fresh because they've thought, a lot of my guests are in their mid or late 20s or early 30s. And a lot of it's fresh. And I find that their I used to think statements, not that there isn't a sense of they haven't really arrived, because I think there are stages of sort of, to me, there are stages of small completions along the way in life.
Yeah.
But what stands out to me already from our conversation is you're speaking of these broader values and these perspectives that you have. And that to me is so valuable. Even something as little as in the very beginning, you mentioned that one of the characteristics of the lighthouse was control. And that's something that I can relate to. I think I was just speaking to someone about this where I have a difficult time not trying to control the outcome of something. And I was speaking to an older mentor, and he was saying, Pat, I just want to let you know that feeling never goes away. And I thought, oh, geez, thanks for that encouragement.
Yeah.
He said, but what hopefully will get better is my ability to respond to that feeling.
Yes.
To respond to uncontrollable situations. Things, and also where I focus my attention. What I try to control, what I try to focus on, which is actually very little, one being my own emotions. And then just whatever in the moment I'm able to do. Now I'm losing my train of thought. We'll just go back to your statement. Man, you've given me so much to think about. So yeah, going back to your statement now, do you feel like you just shouldn't aim for completion at all? Because if completion is unattainable, then what is there to strive for?
So no, I don't think I should. No, I think you should aim for completion, but let me answer with the semi-truck. So you said I might save some people from getting chased by a semi-truck. And to let you know my internal process, when you said that, two things happened in my head simultaneously. One is, I don't want people to get beat by a semi-truck driver or run over by a semi-truck. But the other thing that happened immediately was I would want to take that experience from them. And I think that's it. It's a both and.
Okay.
Right? There are, and this gets back to the lighthouse. Lighthouse externally has a great stability, but internally it's hollow. There's a spiral staircase in many of them that take you up to the light, which is the beacon, which just shines. It gives light, it guides. And so I think trying now at this age and in the program I'm in, and I'm aware I too want to control things. Not only things for me, but things for others.
Yeah.
And I also recognize I have to be a lighthouse for my family. I have to have stability and have some completion in my life. Some anchoring to the earth, to the dirt, to the ground, to the house, to the estate, to the cars, to just life, right? That's part of what I am called to do as a father and husband. But on the inside, there's space, and there's that constant change. There's just, in my life right now, I see it as a both and. I see there is a need for completion, and there is a completion of sorts happening in me. And at the same time, there's a lot of change, a lot of transition going on inside, all the time. So it's both and. Yeah. I don't want you to get beat up by the truck driver, but there's an exhilaration to making a mistake and getting chased by a semi-truck.
And being able to tell the story.
And that's it. I think as a father, as a parent, and having gone through so much with my kids, they're very young. You want to protect them from everything. You put the bumpers on the couch. You wrap the dog in bubble wrap. You do all this stuff.
I like
right?
that image.
Yeah, because what do I do? I'm entrusted with this life and it can't take care of itself. So but then getting older and realizing, well, they have their own experience, and their own heartaches and the things that will form them.
Yeah.
And so how can I, Lord, shape me into the lighthouse you need me to be? You shape me. Because I've tried it and I messed it up. Mm-hmm. I tore it down and I built others, and I worshiped glass edifices, and I did things that dishonored you and dishonored who you made me to be and other people. So now, God, make me the lighthouse that you want me to be. And I think in one thing I didn't understand growing up was how that process is an inside-out process.
Okay, what do you mean?
We go through life and experience life, and those experiences form us.
Right.
And that formation happens like this way. Instead of a lighthouse being built in a sense from the outside with blocks of stone, I think as I see it now and as I see life now, it's more being built from the outside, from the inside out. Almost like layers of a shell that are just generated from this experience. And now as a Christian, the work of the Holy Spirit in me, God's transformative power, his word, just being in relationship with other Christians, with other people who are of the faith. It's like, wow, this is a very different lighthouse. And then even the light it casts is different. Its stability is different. It's just very, yeah. So it's an inside out process. Whereas I thought before, as a kid, you look at things from the outside.
Right.
As I always did. Wow, that's a super cool lighthouse. I can feel the bricks, there are all these contours to it. It's super cool and it's super stable. And now as not a kid, very much not a kid, just recognizing, the lighthouse builder is building the lighthouse. It's an inside out process.
This makes me think of a phenomenon that I feel like is happening within Gen Z, millennial generations. I'm Gen Z, technically, I think. Almost made it to millennial, not quite.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I need like a chart, and then, have people put like sticky notes to self-identify. So where are you? I don't know.
I think
you're Gen Z.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. If you look at Wikipedia, which is the most reputable, anyone born after 96.
Okay.
And then until 2010 or something like that.
Okay, after 96. Okay. I'm thinking about my kids' ages. Right. Okay, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
They're Gen Z?
They're Gen Z, I believe, yeah.
Okay.
They know all that stuff. They tell me and they go, Pop, okay. All right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I find it as a helpful label depending on how you use it. Mm-hmm. I don't think same with, for example, personality tests. I think it's a helpful tool.
Yeah.
Not as a way to identify exactly who you are, but that's a side note. Mm-hmm. But a phenomenon I'm seeing is sort of this travel the world road trip. I mean, this might be common even in previous generations, but hey, I'm in my 20s. I'm going to go fill a backpack with as much stuff as I can and then try to hit as many countries as I can in 2 months or whatever.
Okay. Yeah.
And I myself, I see the appeal, and I think a lot of it is what you're talking about and I'm coming to terms with this now, where outside experiences can shape me, but also I can have a lot of experiences and not be changed by them.
Yes.
And choose not to grow and just get back on Catella and do the exact same thing all over again. And you're so right. Interchange is completely different than from the outside in. I think there is this appeal, maybe because it's just more exciting. I mean, social media has made it so that it seems like I need to get out and do more and experience more in order to change, which in some ways is true.
Yeah.
But I think my wife is a good example of this. She loves reading. And one thing she's taught me is you travel when you read. You explore different worlds when you read.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good example of how inner work can happen from the inside out.
Yes.
Where and I still don't have the answer, but there's something about making the decision to let something change you, because I'm guilty of this. We remake the same mistakes over and over and over until for some reason God, or wherever you want to call it, finally allows that experience to create interchange.
Yeah.
Something that stood out to me as you were talking is you brought up how so it was a both and there is a sense of completion now, and you tied it to being a father and a husband.
Mm-hmm.
And I can relate to being a husband because I'm married.
Mm-hmm. I
don't have kids, so I don't know what that's like yet. But I was wondering, I'm just trying to think of how my listener would interpret that.
Mm-hmm.
How do I'll just speak for men. How do men find the sense of completion if they're single? Because I noticed you tied that directly to like marriage and fatherhood. Yeah,
that's a great question. And I honestly don't know if I'm even qualified to answer that, because when I was single, I think I was looking for that sense of completion, like in the wrong places, frankly. It's a great question. I don't know how to answer it. I kind of want to cover my mouth, because I don't want to advise in any way that sounds wise, which might mislead. And so maybe I'll just say this. And I think it really has to do more with awareness of yourself as a young single man. I was either, as a young single man, I was either ignorant of myself or willfully unaware. For me, no, I don't want to put that on anyone, but that for me. And I didn't look at myself or the situations I was in. And I didn't have this framework of, completion. I was not looking for completion. So again, from my, say, non-Christian, wild, crazy, doing all kinds of, I would say, wicked, evil things, as I look back, I wasn't aware. So I think for young men, be aware that just be aware of yourself and where you are. And I would say be honest with yourself about what you're experiencing. If something stands out to you, and as you said, we kind of repeat the same mistakes. If you notice those, take those to God.
I like that.
If you notice, if something's bothering you, take it to God. If you wake up at 2 a.m. because this is on your mind, take it to God. And it could be, I got to do the laundry. Literally, take it to God. And just because completion's in God, I didn't look for it there. I looked to Him. So part of it is an awareness and an honesty with yourself about where you're at. And I knew for me, it was very easy to be dishonest. It's still easy to be dishonest for me, personally. That's part of my character. I can lie to myself really easily. So being honest is critical in this. And then I also would recommend that you look, in that awareness, take note of moments of completion.
Okay.
Now, I want to give you an extreme one. It does come from my experience becoming a father. Again, I don't want to put that on anyone. And I don't want to paint this as the penultimate experience. But my son was born, the day my son was born, the moment my son was born was a moment of completion. And it was also a moment of transition, the very moment. So the moment my son came into the world, my world spun 180 degrees, literally, not figuratively. That doesn't mean I fell on the floor. I could have. I don't do well with medical things. But that was a moment of, I guess, joy, as Lewis would call it, but really a moment of a pivotal moment where my world turned 180 degrees. It was a moment of completion. It was the end of a season. You could say it that way. It was the dropping on of the mantle of fatherhood, so much. But it was of such significance that I couldn't not be aware of it. I mean, it landed like a hammer. And I think if I had cultivated a self-awareness, if I had cultivated an awareness of those moments of completion, God will do what God will do, but He may not have used such a big hammer right? I would have been more aware of what was coming, perhaps. I'm guessing, I'm speculating. I mean, this was more than 20 years ago, but I still remember that. And I think, yeah, be aware that a part of you is looking for completion. Be honest with yourself in where you're at, in the situations you're in, and how you're feeling about them, what you're tracking, what you're thinking, and take those things to God. And know that God's big enough to handle it. Yeah, I hope that answers the question. It's just, wow. Yeah.
I like that. And a theme that I will take to heart through this conversation is this idea of being aware of you started by referring to them as moments of joy and moments of completion. I think that's where I'm sort of at right now with my perspective on a lot of these topics. Is it's more about being able to cherish those moments as they come. And I understand the appeal of this idea of just working each day to this singular moment where I'm just full and complete and made perfect. And I think as a Christian, there actually is such a moment. Not in this lifetime. But it's cool to me to think of everything as a glimpse, and how those glimpses are in and of itself a type of completion. And I mean, it's not as to the degree of having a son, but I think I felt that in little milestones like finishing college and getting married and getting my first apartment and things like that.
Yeah.
I think I would have allowed a lot of my joy to be snatched away if I didn't sit in any of those moments. Because I mean, I agree with you. I agree with your statement. I think for me as a kid, I thought, I'll give a funny example. I remember when I was younger going to the grocery store and they would have all those little knickknacks that they try to get you to buy where you're at the cashier.
Yeah.
Gum or magazines. I was never interested in the magazines, but little toys and things like that. Even lighters, like just little plastic lighters.
Big lighters? Yeah.
And I remember thinking to myself, I don't know if I brought the story up in the podcast. I remember thinking, man, when I'm an adult, I can just buy those things whenever I want. I could just...
Honey, I bought more lighters. Look.
I could just buy a Tootsie Pop whenever the heck I want. And I was genuinely excited for that. And I mean, I probably could have done that by high school. I was driving by high school.
Yeah.
I had an allowance. And quickly I realized, not only does that stuff not really matter, but now I'm thinking, well, I don't want to spend money.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden money's a thing when you become an adult.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
And responsibility's a thing. And yeah, I think of that example once in a while because I think I experience that on just larger scales now. I think when I buy a house, like, gosh, when I become an adult, I'm going to buy a house.
Yeah.
And then it's, oh, shoot, I got to pay property taxes.
Yeah, now I got a house.
And it's just the stick of gum on a whole nother level.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a really funny example. I laugh at myself when I think of that.
But it's, I hear it though.
Yeah.
I totally hear that. Yeah. It's that scaling up of those small experiences. And something you said brought to mind a phrase that I learned a couple of years ago, but it's that idea of holding things loosely and cultivating a sense of how that can help us cultivate a sense of wonder around those moments of joy.
Holding things loosely.
Holding it loose. Because, and I think like you're saying, you think, when I'm grown up, I'm going to buy all the gum. Every time I go to the store, I'm going to buy some gum. That's like this, right? That's holding it tightly. I'm holding that expectation and that desire so tight. Whereas if you go to the store tomorrow, you might not even be thinking about gum. And you look over and go, oh, there's some juicy fruit. I haven't had juicy fruit in ages. It's great. Holding loosely. And I think we all at some level, speaking very broadly, want to control the process of building our lighthouse. Like you mentioned control, right? It's never going to go away.
Yeah.
And I think we're encouraged to cultivate control. And I think rightly so. There are things in our lives, owning houses or being in families, we do need to exercise control over our lives. But can we exercise control and hold loosely what that can we also hold spaces where we're open to what comes, so we're not so tightly
Right.
controlling things, that there's no joy in gum, and
I should just do that today.
go get some.
Yeah. Just see if I have any dopamine boost at all.
Yeah, right. What's happening? Maybe I eat another stick of gum and we'll kick it in. Woo! Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think that's just the rest of life, at least for me, is being able to hold both, where I still have to do things. I still have to wake up.
Yeah.
And also the outcome is not mine. It's really weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've been caught in those cycles where the illusion of control has led me to it's self-detrimental, where I think to myself, being able to control this thing will make me happier and make my life better. And all it's doing is making me feel worse.
Yeah.
It's terrible. Don't recommend. I don't recommend.
Don't. No. Yeah.
Where would you say now with this idea of completion? I mean, you'll have another moment of completion, a feeling of completion, I'm sure, after you're done of school.
Yeah.
How is this different than even undergrad, right? It's sort of like another chapter, but similar.
So honestly, that's really in process. So I've been coming to realize that I'm retired, which is a funny thing to say because I've been retired from my former career for a year now, but I'm only now coming to realize what that means. Like a career is completed,
Right.
as in done, finished, never going back that way. No.
Yeah.
But the transition is continuing. It's not really complete. It's ongoing because now there's this sense of living into whatever is next. And as I think about that, one of the surprising things I'm finding, one of the joyful things I'm finding, is a growing desire to in a sense, not graduate, to not complete.
Okay, it's almost flipped now.
It's flipped.
Yeah.
Because the objective is not tied to the same kind of completion it was before. So as an undergrad,
That's really interesting.
right? As an undergrad and as a young man, completion and getting a degree was very heavily tied to achievement and finances and like these things.
Sure.
Very temporal, very physical, very like here things. The question I'm asked most right now is, what are you going to do with this? I'm 56. I mean, what am I going to, I don't know. I don't plan on having, I don't know what God has for me yet. I'm just learning. I'm actually, what I thought I was going to do, I don't even know if I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, things are being like stripped away, not built up in the way I thought they would be. Even that sense of completion is like, I really don't want to complete this in the way I've completed things in the past. My hope is that, and getting back to that lighthouse image, that God's light will be in me to the point that it will radiate, and that I can just be a good lighthouse keeper. And that has a quality of never being complete to it. Because what do you have to do in a lighthouse? You have to clean the lenses, and you have to oil the lamp. You have to light it. You have to be aware of the weather. You have to look out at the ocean. I mean, it's okay. There are things that are now being formed in that open space inside me and being reworked in such a way that it's like, God, I have no idea. Sometimes I really don't have any idea what you're doing, so.
Everything is analyzed for its usefulness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I really don't, really don't like that. I do it too.
Yeah. 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 Me too. Yeah. And that, again, I think it's at both ends. I don't want to buy a screwdriver to drive a nail. You know, we do have to use our reason and our God-given abilities to make wise decisions. But there has to be space in life too for things that have a value that are tied to like godly outcomes. That put us perhaps in the right position in life, that put us, beneath our Creator and bring us to just an awareness of how incapable we are of finding completion in ourselves. I think that's one of the things I've come to see too, is how my striving after my own completion, my building my lighthouse, was, and like you said, with control, you can just control everything. Just my life is miserable, and I just am not having a good time. I'm trying to build my own lighthouse.
Yeah.
And when things don't go right, what happens? Well, my head spins off, and I get mad at somebody, and I damage a relationship, or I'm just miserable for 3 days, or I fall into depression, or I'm suffering from, all these things occur. And there has to be space to, I hope there's space to recognize that, okay, I can't do this on my own. I never could. I'd love to be complete, but I don't even know what that means. I actually don't have the plans. I mean, I really don't.
Yeah.
So how do I go to the master planner? How do I like appropriately turn to the one who has all the plans and let him rework me?
I love this idea of where now completion is not even something you're necessarily looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope to get to that point.
Oh, God. Well, I hope you do too. Because it's weird and it's wonderful. I do hope you get there. And I don't know. I so appreciate our talks because you too deal on this broader level. This level of maturity, but also of kind of standing out and looking at life in its breadth and wondering about it and aware of yourself and where you're at in your own process, your own inner world and your relationships. So I hope you come to that too. And I just hope I'm around when it happens. That'd be super cool. Be great to be 90, doing a podcast at 90 with Pat.
90-year-old guy would be, as the kids say, overpowered.
What's that?
I said 90-year-old guy would be, as the kids say, overpowered.
What does that mean?
Just superhero level.
Oh, gosh, no. I just hope I'm not crotchety. If I'm 90 and we do this, I'm going to wear suspenders.
Okay, do it.
Totally wearing suspenders for that.
As we wrap up, was there anything about your topic that you wanted to share?
That's a great question. Yeah. So I was having lunch with a priest I knew when I first confessed Christ. And he said to me, Guy, in the old days, the way that a ship would come into harbor was that there were actually 3 lights. And a ship at sea would look to the coast, and they might see the first light, and that would indicate, okay, where the land is. But then you needed the other 2 lights behind it to guide you into harbor. So 3 lights, when they line up, show you the way, show you the straight path. So I just in this process of both completion and incompletion, really in a life that as we live and as we look to come into safe harbors, we need to look for lighthouses, not just one, but many, and find those that line up. So find the people in your life who are good mentors and can help guide you. And don't look at them as complete in the sense of being, solid all the way through, but instead look at them as as very much as works in progress, knowing that their interior lives are just as messy as yours, but and appreciating the gift of God that they are, and that they're still guiding you somewhere. So I don't know if this really wraps up this idea of, once I thought I would be complete, and now I realize it was just an illusion or an idol I made. But I think the image of lighthouses and lights lining up and guiding us somewhere, I think really prayer that God would bring those people into our lives and those relationships is just so necessary, because we can't complete ourselves. We were never intended to. And as much as we try, again, it just leads to frustration and chaos. And I think we just need to trust the lighthouse builder. I do. And trust him to bring it to completion.
Well said.
Thank you.
I think that's a good place to end. Thank
you, Pat. This was a blast. Oh, I never thought in my life that I would say, thank you for having me on your show.
You're very welcome. And I'm looking forward to having you back with suspenders on.
That's great. Yeah, 90. We'll set a date. Get that Google Calendar. We'll do it. Awesome. Thanks, Pat.
Hey, thanks for listening to today's episode. I thought I would let you know that I created a Substack for the podcast. For those of you who aren't familiar with what a Substack is, it's basically a blog. And my first post is about my own I Used to Think journey and the reasons why I started this podcast. If you're interested in reading that article, the link is in the description. I would appreciate any comments or feedback, and I hope to continue to post content related to the podcast and the idea of the capacity to change one's mind on the Substack. Thanks again.